welcome to the introduction to my 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee limited edition, and it has the 5.7 Hemi engine. This has been a very good vehicle. Over the years that I've had it, I purchased it when it was a couple of years old and had about 17,000 miles on it. It now has 112,000 miles, and I've had some issues with it in the probably a few years after I purchased it, like maybe 4 or 5 really. I had a clunking sound, and that turned out to be after I placed a camera underneath the front bumper area facing back. The thumping and crunching sound was coming from the front when I would slow down to turn. I took it in, and it wouldn't happen when the dealers and the repair people would try to diagnose the problem. So with the aid of my camera, I was able to, after about a month or so of driving, I caught the problem happening. And it is a video that's on my YouTube channel now, showing what was causing the clunking sound. And to make a long story short, it turned out to be the front drive axle rear stabilizer bushing. There's 3 stabilizer bushings that hold the front drive axle in place, but allow for a little movement. They're like little shock absorbers. It had completely was missing, and so the torque of the engine and braking and so forth would cause the whole drive axle to move up and down like about 2 or 3 inches, making the clunking sound. The other problem that went with it to make this sound was the drive shaft actually was binding, and the front drive shaft universal was actually bad along with this bushing. So I think the 2 parts added up to the failure. And so once I got the front drive shaft replaced and the rears, well, they replaced all of the stabilizer bushings on the front drive axle, I've had absolutely no more problems with that noise. Any Jeep owner between 2005 and 2010 will probably have this problem, in that you hear it all over the internet that people are looking for solutions, and my YouTube channel gets a lot of hits for my videos on diagnosing this problem. So I'm letting you know you're getting, I'm selling this, my Jeep, and it's one of a kind, and it was the pioneer for some of these problems that all of the Jeep owners are having. That being a major one that's I'm sure a lot of drivers or owners of a Jeep Grand Cherokee or the Jeep line are having these problems. So you get this baby and you're not going to have that problem. And if for some reason those bushings ever failed again, you would know exactly what the problem is. And now you know what the problem is before you get into a Jeep Grand Cherokee of that age range. There's something wrong with that bushing. Okay, we went along, after I got that fixed, we went along for a number of years after that, not too many, and I experienced my second major failure of the vehicle. And that is when I turned the ignition key, it would just click. Turn it off, turn it back on a second time, it would click, and possibly the third time it would start. It happened one time, and I thought, okay, maybe something's loose or something. And it didn't happen for a while. And then again, it came back and started, click, and no start. And after 2 or 3 clicks, it usually would start. Well, I looked into this problem, and I discovered that in the fuse and breaker box under the hood, there's 2 of them, and they have all the relays and fuses that control the vehicle. And I figured from my electronics training and understanding relays and stuff that there had to be a relay associated with the starting mechanism to get the starter to turn. And the click was probably the relay operating but not sending the signal to the starter. So I got under the hood and found the start relay, and I decided I would just go ahead and go down to the parts store and buy that relay and replace it. So I did that, and wow, that ended my problem. But after maybe 8 months, a year later, came back, click, and no start. The same thing. So I would go and change the relay again. I got another relay, and it would correct the problem. I took the relay apart, and I have videos showing isolating this problem to whether your starter is failing or if it's the relay. And I demonstrate how to isolate this problem. There's so many people that have told me that the mechanics want to replace the starter. They say you have a bad starter. I have seen no one with a starter problem. It probably can happen, but if you do the test I show, you can isolate whether the starter is working or not. Okay, I went along like this, and periodically this click no start would come back, even though I changed the relay, but usually changing to a new relay would correct the problem for a while. So I lived with that until I decided I was going to look at something else. I looked at the connections of the wire going to the starter solenoid. The starter has a starter solenoid, which is a heavy-duty relay that actually closes the circuit for your battery voltage to go to the starter, to turn it. That little relay under the hood does not have enough contact material, and it was not designed for high current. So that little start relay only sends a signal down to that bigger relay, which is the starter solenoid, to send the signal to the starter. I figure, well, let me check the wiring to that starter solenoid. That could be a possible point of corrosion or what have you, since it's exposed to the air and elements and water underneath the vehicle. I have a video showing how to check the starter solenoid wiring. So I went under there and I found that it looked like there were bubbling on the connector, and I show the connector, and I decided I would reach my hand up in that it's hard to change that, cut that off and do the work in there without taking the drive shaft out and all of that. So I decided to take a shortcut and wiggle the connector. It's a light green wire that, or it could be yellow in some cases, green or yellow, and there's a red one right next to it. The red is big, and that is your main power. So you don't want that one. You want the smaller green or yellow, and you wiggle it. And when I did that, I have not had any more trouble with starting with the click no start. So there's two possibilities here: the start relay or the solenoid wire connector. And if you have a way of, and you want to take the time, remove the drive shaft, and then you'll have enough room to work in there. You may be able to at least pull it off with your hand without removing the drive shaft, but it's you want to be sure you can get it back on, and that might clean the contact just enough to give it a better connection. A corroded connection at that point can cause the click no start because it's not enough current flowing for that solenoid relay to operate. So there you have it, and I corrected that. So what I'm trying to tell you is there's two major problems wrong with the 2005 to 2010 Jeeps, and it's just about all of them I've heard, not just the Grand Cherokee. But this Jeep has had these problems corrected, and it is a fine machine with a lot of life still in it, and it's going to make someone a very good vehicle for the next umpteen years. So it's 2005, this is 2021. Everything is taken care of in maintenance, and all you have to do is continue that. The oil changes, the transfer case has been changed, and the coolant has been changed, everything. And even the front brake pads have been changed. The rears are still okay. There was a brake job at about 70,000 miles, and so the front brakes have been replaced. Let's go look inside and maybe take a little ride, and you'll get a little test ride with it, okay? So everything else is great. No lights come on except the tire sensor. These sensors have never been changed, and I think it's warning me that they work, but they should be changed. It will come on and blink when you first crank it up in the morning for maybe 10 seconds, and then it goes out. But it does tell you when one of the tires is low, because I have seen it come on and stay on. So that's the only issue right now. Let's go inside. Typical Jeep Grand Cherokee. It has the Quadra Drive transmission, Quadra Drive 2, which allows you to put the transfer case into neutral for towing. This vehicle is set up to be towed behind RV mostly. It could be towed behind any kind of large truck that can handle 5,000 pounds. Now let's go to the back. Nice roomy seating, and this is a 60-40 seat arrangement, and makes a lot of hauling space. Those two seats will go down, or someone could be sitting in one and you flip one down and you've got a nice long space there. So it's very good for a lot of applications. There is a spare tire under the vehicle, and there's access underneath this to lower it down with a crank. If you'll notice, these are all shined and waxed and clean. So I've taken pretty good care of the vehicle, and it hasn't been in any wrecks. There has been a little, some little touches here and there, but that could be touched up if you don't like it. There, good shape inside. Everything's nice. All the windows, locks, and everything works. And here you go. Nice setup. Okay. and it's the limited edition, so it has a lot of features in there. All right, and let's go around. If you look, the base plates right here, and there's a wiring connection for the tail lights. It's all set up for towing, and I have the Towmaster tow bar that goes with it. So a great tow vehicle. All right. I'm going to set her up and go for a little test ride. We're ready to go for a ride, and I'll show you some of the features of this, and we'll see how you like it. All right. Beautiful. Okay, let's miles to empty. Okay, I like to keep it on there. There's my tire sensor light, about 5 or 6, 8 blinks, 10 seconds, something like that. And she's out. Okay. I do have
so the Democrats in the House
a navigation system on it, and it does work, but it's not updated. It can be updated with a disc. It's about $125 though. I use a Garmin instead, and then we just go back to here, but you can see we got a map there, and it does work and gives you where you're going. So we'll just get it on out here. 441 is out here. We'll go for a ride. Oh, before I do, right here is the four-wheel drive light. I don't know if you can see it. Let me move the camera. Four-wheel drive light. And this lever right here, when I'm in neutral and I pull up on this and hold it for a moment, this light will come on and the instrument panel will tell me I'm in four-wheel drive. You don't want to drive four-wheel drive on the road. That's for off-road and full lock on all four wheels for pulling all the time. The other feature is right here, this little N with a hole in there. With a toothpick or a ballpoint pen, when you're in neutral, you can push on that and hold it for about 4 or 5 seconds, and the transfer case will go into neutral. That's different than just putting the transmission in neutral. The transfer case has to be in neutral in order to move the vehicle, like for towing. So that's the towing feature. And it's available on the Quadra Drive 2 transmission only. That's why this is the choice vehicle for people that want to have a tow vehicle. It's a great transmission. I like it a lot. It's kind of an automatic four-wheel drive. It uses four-wheel drive when the road condition needs it, and takes it out when it doesn't. You don't even know it's happening. Okay, let's go. It does have features of, if you have a short driver and a tall driver, of moving the brake and the gas pedals up and back. There's a remote or two memories of all of your settings, your radio and these pedals. So if you have two drivers, you push 1 or 2, and you've got all the settings for that particular driver. It's got the tow package on it, so it's got a tow button that you can push, which will keep it in the optimum range for towing. Okay, let's go for a ride. Oh, let me get my belt on. I don't go anywhere without my belt. Okay, let me get you up here as soon as I get stopped. I'm going to get you up to where you can see out. Okay. Alright, let's go for a ride. We'll just go up and around. Okay. It's very nice and smooth, and it shifts very nicely. It's got a lot of power for towing. If you have a boat or a motorcycle trailer, this will do the job. So I'm going to go up and out of the neighborhood just to give a feel of this. Okay, come to a complete stop, and it has power when you need it. But I don't exercise all that power. I'm not squall away from the red light, but it will. It's not warm enough yet to just romp on it a little bit, but it's all there. I'll let you do that. It's got all the controls on the steering wheel and underneath for volume and radio, and they all work real well, and just everything works. Oh, I did forget a couple of minor issues that I found the problems and corrected them, and that is it runs for 2 seconds and then shuts off. I got a solution for that, and it's worked perfect. I haven't had any more problems with it. But if you get another Jeep, I don't know. He may not know or seen my YouTube channel, and you may experience that with another Jeep. But you're going to know how to correct it if it ever were to happen again on mine, which it hasn't in about, I'd say, 8 or 10 months now. The other last little problem that is encountered on these Jeeps is the transmission high temperature. I've got the solution for that and how to check for it and all this. So I highly recommend you to go to my YouTube channel, Sam Owens 44, and look at my playlist for the Jeep Grand Cherokee, and I cover all of the issues that I have found with my particular model 2005 Jeep Grand Cherokee Limited 4x4. But that's all I can say about the issues. I haven't had any more issues other than those, and they're all corrected, so this vehicle is ready to go. Okay.